My name is Kevin Schmiegel. I'm the Vice President of Veterans Employment Programs at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. In March of this year, the Chamber launched a year-long effort to help veterans and military spouses find employment in the private sector. 2.5 years ago, I retired from the Marine Corps after 20 years of active duty. I was very fortunate. I was lucky to have a mentor like General Jim Jones, President Obama's National Security Advisor. I was lucky to be at the right place at the right time. And I was lucky to be hired by an organization like the Chamber who really understands the value of hiring a veteran. Not every veteran is that lucky. This map really captures many of the reasons why we started the program. There are 12 million veterans in the workforce. Roughly 1 million of them are unemployed. While in my mind, this is unacceptable, many people ask me why that's such a big deal. 12 million in the workforce, 1 million unemployed, roughly 9%. That's in line with the national average. Well, there are some alarming trends that tell us we need to do something about this now. Iraq and Afghanistan veterans are suffering from a 13% unemployment rate. Among 18 to 24-year-olds in that cohort, 30% unemployment. If you look at Guard and reservists that are coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, they're suffering from 14% unemployment. 20 to 30% in some rural areas. So if you look at the fact that 160,000 additional service members will leave the service every year, and perhaps more due to the President's announcement that will draw down forces, and if you look at the fact that there's 100,000 Guard and reservists coming back this year alone from Iraq and Afghanistan, 9% will quickly grow to 10%, 11%, or 12%. And again, in my mind, that is unacceptable. Why else did the Chamber get involved? First of all, many of our members want to hire veterans. In my first job at the Chamber from 2009 to January of 11, I was the Chief of Staff. I traveled all over the country with the President of the Chamber, and hundreds of CEOs said they want to hire veterans. So you have this problem of unemployment, but you hear from CEOs and all these companies that they want to hire veterans because they're good for their company. Secondly, even with high unemployment in America, we have a huge skills gap. There's something called structural unemployment. 3.5 million jobs in America cannot be filled right now because we lack a trained workforce. Veterans can help fill that gap. They have unique leadership skills. They have advanced technical skills. They're also excellent problem solvers, and they're extremely reliable. And 90% of all military occupations are directly transferable to jobs in the private sector. And finally, as the world's largest business federation, the U.S. Chamber has a civic responsibility to do this. There is no other organization in the country with our infrastructure that can affect and create a movement across the country like the Chamber. 1,700 local chambers of commerce in communities across the country. Many, if not all, of the Fortune 500 companies, and 3 million small businesses that are affiliated through those 1,700 local chambers. So what are we doing? In April, as part of the White House's Joining Forces initiative, the Chamber committed to conduct 100 hiring fairs in communities across the country, connecting over 100,000 veterans and military spouses with several thousand different employers in all 50 states. We also started 4 other programs for wounded warriors, for student veterans, for Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, for Guard and reservists, for women veterans and military spouses, because, to be honest, there are probably, when you use the word heroes, they're probably heroes in the true sense of the word when their spouses go away for a year or 15 months at a time. We focused on those populations because they need special attention, if you remember some of the numbers I shared earlier. The results thus far have been palpable. Since the launch of Hiring Our Heroes, we've conducted 24 hiring fairs in 20 different states. We've connected over 23,000 veterans and military spouses with over 1,200 different employers. Since March, over 2,000 of them have gotten jobs, to include the placement of 50 wounded warriors. Okay, I'll be the first person in the room to say that just scratches the surface. By the end of this year, we'll be lucky to place between 15,000 to 20,000 veterans. But this is not just about the number. This is about creating a movement in local communities across the country. It's about bringing together leaders in each of those communities so that when we leave that hiring fair, when we fold up the tables and we put away the chairs, those leaders will continue that effort on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis. I really believe that we are on the verge of creating that movement. Over the past few weeks, we've received calls from 13 local chambers of commerce who weren't listed on the first 100. And they said, hey, we're going to do that anyway. We heard about what you're doing, and we're getting involved now. We're not going to wait until you finish the first 100. That is about creating a movement. NBC Universal is going to cover all 100 of our events through their 212 affiliates. Brian Williams is going to do a show called Making a Difference on the Home Front, which will feature veterans' employment issues. To reaffirm our commitment, we're going to step it up. In 2012, the Chamber is going to be in 500 local communities. How are we going to do that? These are the 1,700 local chambers. If I can get 1/3 of them to commit, I can get into over 500 communities. And all I have to do is marry up with an organization like the American Legion that has the same grassroots infrastructure and connect 10 employers with 50 veterans in a rural community. That is creating a movement. As I conclude, I want to stress this is not charity. And it's not just about good PR. Yes, did I have pictures of Will and Kate, the most recognizable military officer and spouse in the world? Yes, it raised awareness. In our events in Los Angeles and New York alone, we were covered by 100 different media outlets and reached 300 million viewers and listeners. Are we working with the First Lady? Yes. She has a role to play in this because public awareness is very important. But this is not about charity. Because these are talented young men and women who will increase productivity in the workplace. What's good for business is good for the economy. They are strong, they are resilient, and they are team players. They don't understand the word failure. I'm often asked why we should do this for veterans when the rest of the nation is suffering from high unemployment. As a veteran myself, I have to bite my tongue and say, really? Are you kidding me? We have men and women who have volunteered to serve their country, putting their lives in harm's way and enduring long separations from their families to protect our freedoms. And you ask that question? Really? But instead, I leave those personal feelings aside, I bite my tongue, and I make the business case for why veterans and military spouses make the workplace more productive, more effective, more efficient, because of their unique skill sets and unparalleled work ethic. We believe there's an incredible opportunity right now to build on the momentum that has brought veterans' issues to the forefront of American psyche and take advantage of what the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff recently called a sea of goodwill. Martin Luther King once said, "The time is always right to do what is right." It is clear that now is the time to positively affect the issue of veterans' unemployment and to do it right, to bring the public and private sector together in a meaningful way in communities across the country where veterans and their families are returning every day. Everyone is talking about this. You see it in the news all the time. The White House is talking about it. Congress is talking about it. What makes the Chamber unique and a leader on this issue is we're doing things every day. We're not talking about it in Washington. We're not talking about it in forums like this very often. It's about raising awareness, but if we're really going to have an impact, it has to be done at the local community level by big business, by small business, by leaders in the community that really care about this issue. Thank you.